Hello, good evening. I'm Shanti. So, welcome. So, if I understand, this is a dance lesson for the mind, is it? We're going to teach the mind how to dance. So, welcome. This is it's going to be 3 evenings, 3 Fridays, where we're going to explore a little bit the whole universe of the mind. Do you all have a mind? Yeah, everyone has one. No, nobody has lost it or it's just gone away. You just have your mind somewhere. And so that's the first thing to know. If you have a mind, that's good. You know where it is. And the second question would be, do you like your mind? Do you have a good mind, or you want to change or get a new one or fix it, or it needs some repair? They say sometimes that mastery. This is sometimes your mind can drive you crazy, isn't it? Yeah, minds can play tricks. Minds can, take you a little bit somewhere, and then before you know, you are really gone somewhere. And the only thing you did was following your mind or listening to your mind. Anyone sometimes feels they'd like to switch off the mind? Yeah, just like, good night. Good night, mind. It's really a fascinating topic. Once we start really looking at the mind, we realize that it's one of the most interesting part of the soul. And the most interesting thing about it also is that we can change it. We can work with it. And if we look at the analogy of the physical body, I find it's interesting because, when we're younger, you want to shape your body sometimes, no? Anything, the length of your hair, or the decoration of the body, the shape of the body, whatever. For men, focusing a lot on muscles and stuff like that, on beauty. And then the more you try, and then one day you say, well, it's getting a little bit harder now. And the body has a limit. And when it reaches a certain age, well, you can still, keep it healthy and do wonderful things. But there's a little limit to what we can do. In the world of sports, it's quite amazing that at 22 years old, in some sports, they are at the peak. And after that, they start to decline. And when they're 30, they're retiring. I say, whoa, yeah, retiring. So the performance of the body, although now they're extending, but the performance of the body sometimes even reduces. But what about the mind? I think we can get much older physically and still reshape our mind in such a way that it becomes more and more beautiful. And that's the beauty of the mind. So what I'd like to propose in the next tonight and the next 2 sessions is to just really explore different facets of the mind, understanding the mind, appreciating how the mind functions, and also then seeing what we can do, how you can reshape your mind. So to begin the exercise, I would propose to go into a meditation again, just a few minutes, and just with a very specific exercise. And what we're going to do is, you see, if I were to ask you, for example, to count up to 10, everybody is okay with that? Can do that? So if someone asks you, just count up to 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, what are we doing? Right? It's the numbers, they're little thoughts. The mind, the thoughts that you hear when you say 1, 2, 3, 4, we're hearing the sound of the mind. But who is giving the order to the mind is what we call the intellect. And we'll define it a little bit more. So the intellect tells the mind, can you count? And the intellect actually really counts, but the sound is heard on the mind. So what we're going to do in the next 5 minutes is just going to imagine that you can tell your mind, hey mind, can you just show me some beautiful thoughts? If you love someone and you know that one can sing, what would you do? At one point you will ask the person, do you mind to sing me a song? I'd love it if you can sing a song, isn't it? So how about we tell our mind, hey mind, he'll dance later, but before dancing we'll make him sing. Can you sing? Can you tell me something beautiful? And so just for 5 minutes I'll share a few thoughts for a few minutes, and then I'll let you continue on your own to see how you can challenge your mind to create beautiful thoughts. So let's try a little exercise just for 5 minutes. So we appreciate the space of silence that we're into. We enjoy the quietness of the room. We can feel already a sense of peace around us. So we just focus our attention on the center of the forehead. And we just imagine as if there was a screen. It's the screen of the mind. And I'm just asking my mind to create beautiful thoughts, beautiful images on the screen. Imagine you can even see on the screen the words, I am peace. You can just read it, even physically on the screen. I am peace. I am peaceful. I feel peace. I radiate peace. And as those words appear on the screen of the mind, they just become living words, an experience of peace. And I tell my mind, hey mind, just create beautiful thoughts again. Sing me a song of peace. And let your mind create beautiful thoughts. I am a being of peace. I cultivate peace in my heart. I give peace through my eyes, through my words. I create vibrations of peace that can reach out to the end of the world. I give peace to all those I like and love in my life, my family, my friends. Each one of them appear in front of me on the screen of my mind, and I just give them a bouquet of peace. I am a peace giver. I am like a tower of peace And I appreciate how my mind creates thoughts of peace. And I become an artist, creating beauty with my mind. And my thoughts of peace bring light to the world, like beautiful rays of light, rays of peace. And I see my mind at peace. I listen to my mind, creating thoughts of peace. And I enjoy the experience of peace and the beauty of a peaceful mind, the strength of a peaceful mind. So I just stay like this for a few more minutes in the experience of peace, letting my mind be the artist and create thoughts of peace. Okay, so do you feel there's a difference in the way your mind thinks? Could you follow the thoughts a little bit, or could you concentrate, or was your mind creating few other thoughts in between, sneaking them in? What was your experience? You can think, follow certain thoughts like that. It's moving around. Did you fall asleep? If you tried to concentrate, I'm sure you had the experience that a few thoughts sneak in at any time. There's a peaceful thought. Oh, what? Did I lock the door of my car? Yeah, I'm not sure. So where does this thought will come from? Thoughts will just pop up all the time. But if we tell the mind to concentrate and we try to trick the mind with an exercise like the screen and seeing the words. Did you see words? And I said, I am peace. Could you see the letters? That's an exercise. And it's just one exercise we do now, but imagine that you would do that every night. It will change the muscle of the mind. Mind is, it is in a way sometimes a little bit like a muscle. You can train it, you can exercise it. How much time per week do you try to control your mind, or to master your mind, or to direct your mind? And that's the key question. Because if we don't take time at all in the week to train the mind, it's like, I know I'm always going back to tennis, but that's what I like and do a lot as well. If you never play tennis, and you don't practice, you don't take classes, and you just show up on the tennis court, well, just try. It might be fun, it will be fun, but the balls will go everywhere. And unless you have really kind of an inner genius waiting to play, it's not going to work. But if you try every day, 20 minutes, half an hour, you take classes and have a good teacher, and you give time, attention, and exercise, you may not become number one in the world, but you will certainly improve. You will certainly know how to play better, isn't it? So how much do we train the mind to become good mind? Yeah? If you want to affect your body, you give it time. If you're not well and you're feeling weak, they will tell you, you have to eat this, you should not eat that, you should do this, you should rest. We give time even for the body physically to have an impact on the body. And the real question is, how much do we give time to the mind to make the mind practice certain kind of thoughts, to make the mind focus? And that's the whole, I think, big question. And I'm sure that you're thinking, yeah, how many hours per day do I do that? Okay, how many hours per month maybe? Okay, how many? When do we do that? I mean, this is called meditation. Meditation is actually doing that. But sometimes we do meditate. But even in meditation, we don't do that. We just sit and the mind goes, and then we just let them. We have nice thoughts, but not really strong, articulated, structured thoughts. And if we don't do that, then we should not be surprised that the mind jumps here and there. A little kid, what do when they start walking? Right? Some are grandparents. Yeah, grandparents. So when we're parents, we were busy and we see kids. But when you're grandparent, you have more time to watch those little things, crawling, moving, speaking, making noise. And I've seen those little kids, they go everywhere, And then you have to teach the child, no, that you don't touch, that you don't do, that you don't jump. Oh, the staircase, be careful, danger. Flower, nice, delicate. Cat, don't punch the cat, just go slowly. Otherwise, if you don't teach that, he will find out by himself, but you don't want to allow the child to have so much pain, so you'll teach the child, don't do this, don't jump here, don't do that, isn't it? But the mind will let it go anywhere. We just we feel as if there's no control over the mind. So before we can even dance with the mind, which is a beautiful image, there may be a need to teach the mind to walk properly. Because before dancing, you have to really learn to stand on your own feet. My experience with this whole journey is that when I came to the Brahma Kumaris and I learned about what really is the mind, to me it was like a complete turning point in my life. I felt, why we were not told that before? And it's like you live your whole life without knowing you have a stomach, and that's responsible to digest the food. And you'll be really stupid if someone asks you, do you know where the food goes? And you say, I actually have no idea. They don't know how the food goes in and what happens. We know, we learn that in school. And then we know, oh, my stomach is in pain, or this I digest well, this I don't. We don't learn about the mind. And so there are certain thoughts or certain ideas that we can revise a little bit. So now we can do that, and then after we can focus more on other things. But the main thing we have to, I think, look at is where do the thoughts come from in the mind? So mind is actually, it's a semantic, right? It's just a word. The word mind in the teachings of Raja Yoga means the organ of the soul that actually expresses the thoughts. And if you remember, for those who took the course, we say there are 3 parts in the soul. So the whole being, the living being, has a mind. The other one are, there's 3 organs. In the body you have like heart, lungs, stomach, brain, right? All these. So in the soul, there's mind, intellect, and what we call sanskaras, which is a little bundle of personality traits. It's your DNA of personality. So the mind, intellect, and personality, if you want. And they work in a very, and it's just words, but if we describe what it means, then you realize that there's nothing else than those 3 things, which is quite simple. And everything which is in me, which is not flesh and bones, is either the mind, either the intellect, or personality traits. That's it. And once we understand what each one does, it makes it quite simple to listen to it and to fix it if we need to fix it. So I would say the mind, it's like the lungs and the heart of the soul. So the mind has that faculty of breathing, and the mind is always thinking. It's just pumping air, pumping blood. So it's like a heart and a lung. It's just pumping life. It's the natural pump of the soul. The intellect is the stomach and the brain of the soul. It digests, it eats, it consumes energy, thoughts, ideas, images, memories, unconscious fears, all kind of things. And it puts it in the little magic bullet, to make a smoothie, and then it processes all that all the time. Sits there when you sleep. Sometimes you're numb with what you read and what you hear. And then it becomes your brain. It becomes the intelligence. It becomes the computer of the soul that can decide, that can remember, that can judge, that can, have the will to do something or not. So that's the intellect. And the personality trait is what happens when the intellect and the mind keeps me doing things. They make me do things. So these actions, the intellect, the personality traits, are like the hands and the feet of the soul. They are the doers. They are the personality. How I translate my understanding, my thinking in action. If you think, this one is really stupid, and then you say to the person, you're really stupid, which is not a good thing to say, by the way, it will become your personality. People would say, well, you really say what's on your mind. You're direct, you're arrogant. Why do you tell me I'm stupid? But if you know the person is stupid, but your intellect says, yeah, shh, don't say anything. Tell him he's a nice person, Okay, then you say, oh, you're a nice person. And then people will either tell you, well, you're a hypocrite, because you really think I'm stupid, but you're saying that I'm good. Or they would say, you're very positive. Or they would say, well, you are like, angel, you're giving me blessing, right? The difference is just, what did I say? How did I say it? Why did I say it? And that becomes my personality. So someone who's gossiping all the time, some cannot start a sentence without, do you know what happened? Do you know what you said? That's gossipers. They always start the sentence like this. Do you know? Do you know what happened? They want to tell all kind of things. I'm joking a little bit. Sometimes it's good to say that. But if you gossip a lot, that becomes my personality. And those who gossip a lot, they keep gossiping more. And they, once you try to make them stop gossiping, they can't. They want to know details. They want. So what happened? So how was last night? What did you wear? What did you say? Did you talk about me? And blah 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 blah. That's just a habit. It's called a sanskara. So now, why we need to know these things is because now the question is, where are the thoughts coming from? Like if you were to try to remember, try to catch your mind right now in the last 2 minutes. Can you identify a thought that came in which didn't come from me? Yeah? Did you have any thought about your cat or something else? I mean, you all look like you're listening to me, but I know very well that whilst listening with your beautiful smile and eyes open, your mind is listening but speaking his own things, isn't it? Listening to both. And the mind. So the mind has its own thoughts, isn't it? And so if you ask yourself, yeah, but where are those thoughts coming from? Because I didn't ask those thoughts to come at the time. If I'm telling you, now concentrate to what I'm saying, don't think about anything else. Try that. It'll be very difficult. After just a few seconds, a thought will come out of nowhere. Where are my shoes? What did I do with my shoes? Why do I worry about my shoes? So where thoughts come from is a beautiful thing to think about. And so in Raja Yoga we say that thoughts are created by many different things. And sometimes it's very nice to know, where is this thought coming from? Imagine you open your fridge and there's something in the fridge and you have no idea where it comes from. That would be strange, no? Yeah. So who came to my fridge to put this on? You're a vegetarian and there's a big piece of pork in your meat and in your fridge, and say, whoa, where does that come from? Or you decide you're not going to eat certain things, you open your fridge, oh gosh, there's lots of it. Where does it come from? That would be a bit strange. And yet that's the reality of the mind. If you ask your mind, where does this thought come from? And really, you wouldn't be able to tell right away where it comes from. So thoughts can come from many different sources. A thought can come from a feeling. Let's say there's a big noise. Ooh, what happens? What is that? So those thoughts come. Why? You got scared. But if the same noise happens, but it's, let's say, somebody who slips, you start laughing, thinking, oh, that's very funny. Just went up and hopefully it didn't hurt himself, but sometimes it becomes funny. It's just a noise, but you see something else and it's funny. And then you will even tell that to someone else later. Or do you know what happened? In your gossiping moment? She just walked and she slept. That was so funny. Her skirt just torn apart and her hair, and she was holding strawberries. They went all over the place. The cat ate the strawberries, and then, tell a story. So where are those thoughts coming from? Feelings, impressions. Thoughts come from what we see. You see a car and you say, oh, nice car. But if it was not a car, you would not say nice car. So everything that comes through the eyes will probably generate thoughts at some point. Not always, but sometimes. If you see a beautiful flower, oh, nice flower. It's a thought. But it came because you saw the flower. And then when you get close to the flower, let's say it doesn't smell good, you, oh, smells bad. I don't like it. So there's vision, there's smell, there's feeling. And then let's say you see the flower and you get close, and say, oh no, this one, I'm allergic to that one. So where is that thought coming from? It's not the flower, it's not the eyes, it's not the feeling. It's the intellect. The intellect knows that I'm allergic to that flower. So the thought that I hear, oh yeah, no, this thought and this flower I should not put in my nose, that's the intellect who has given you that thought. And then, let's say you see the flower and you say, oh, I can give that flower to my mother. You take that flower. Where does thought come from? Who has the thought, I can give it to my mother? Intellect a bit, but why it has even the intellect decided, oh, I can give it to my mother? Because it's love. Because I love my mom. My personality. It's my personality. I like to give. You know, miser one would say, oh, flower for me. What will be the difference? Why the thought will be, oh, I can take the flower and put it in my place. Or having the thought, oh, I can get the flower and give it to my mom. I'm free to think. But why is that thought coming? It would be because of my personality. Not just my intellect, it's my personality. If I'm generous, if that's my personality, I always want to give. Then every time you see something is, oh, maybe I can get that to give it to someone else. That's your personality. I always joke because I had a grandmother, and I thought that when I was a kid, she was very miser, I think. And every time we would come to her place, I think she was hiding everything. You know, candies, this, that, so we don't get nothing, you know. So because, oh, if they see candy, they will want candy, so it will hiding things. But then later on, she changed completely. And I think she became the opposite. And every time we showed up, her thought was always, what can I give you? What can I give you? What can I give you? And she would give us the whole apartment, you know, like, you like that blanket? Yeah, take it, take the blanket. Or you like that vase? Take that. She would give us anything. What changed? Her personality. Suddenly she realized at some point she really loves the grandchildren. And now she, you know, whatever the reasoning happened in the intellect, it changed her actions, changed her personality. So it changes the thoughts. And then in a much more subtle level, then we go into another area, which is, I'm not going to get into it, but some people have thoughts that don't come from them. That's a little problem. If somebody else thinks in your head, bipolar, you know, schizophrenia, possessions. That's what I said. I'm not going to get into it tonight. It's a big, it's a bit psychology, but sometimes thoughts are not our thoughts. I mean, I'm not saying our. I mean, for some people, they have that problem, and it's clinically proved, right? It's a fact. They know that they hear voices talking to them. That's very dangerous. And it could be very problematic. So we won't get into it because that's not really the topic. For these situations, please see professionals and or come and see me after. But
I have the impression it's talking to me when I have a thought in my mind.
yeah, sometimes it's inoffensive in a sense, like you're having a conversation with someone in your mind. You see, let's say you had a difference of opinion during the day with someone, and you had an argument, and you said to the person, well, let's do this, and the person, no, it's not a good idea, I don't want to do this, we'll do that, no, I do this, no, I do that, okay. You settle, you're a little bit upset, you go home, what happens? At home you go back and the conversation starts happening again. And then we talk to the person, and we hear the person talking to us, but this is our own creation. You're not possessed. It's not that the other soul is jumped into your head and thinking. It doesn't work. It's our own thinking, our own consciousness. But sometimes souls hear really scary thoughts, you know, thoughts that are very, very loud and come somewhere. But I'm just saying where are all the sources of thoughts. Some people pick up thoughts from energy. You're thinking of someone, the phone rings, that's the person. I say, oh, I was just thinking about you. Yeah, intuition. We call it in sometimes touchings. Your mind is just sensitive and it's catching thoughts, but it doesn't really realize where it comes from. But that touchings. Somebody thinks of you, you start thinking of the person. Who started thinking of who the first? That's hard to prove. But the proof is that often someone talks to you and says, oh, I was just thinking of you. And the other person say, yeah, I was just thinking of you, so I called you. But maybe because you were thinking of me, I had the thought to call you. You never know who is the chicken, who is the egg, right? Mm-hmm. They come together. But that's sometimes where the mind picks up thoughts.
Like a telepathy?
Telepathy can be that too. That's like a focused exchange of thoughts. And then ultimately we can go on. I mean, there's many sources of thoughts where they come from. Another one could be sometimes what they would call divine intervention. those who believe in God, they think sometimes that they got touchings from God. And we have so many cases of people who at some kind of moment had a thought, and they just went there, and then by doing this their life was saved. And they thought, oh my goodness, where did that thought come from? Maybe that there's no proof. All of this has no proof. But if we listen to the mind, and you say, where are all these thoughts coming from? You know, some are coming from past memories, so that's the intellect. If you had a very traumatic experience in your young age, then you're going through something similar again, and suddenly you freeze, and then you start having fear thoughts. You don't know where those thoughts are coming from, but they're actually a result of, old past memories. And I can go on like this. The list is very long. So when there is a thought, it's not a kind of, inoffensive, or it's not just a nothing. Every single thought is a revelation of something living within me, and that thought comes up. And we don't pay attention most of the time to those thoughts. Or sometimes we do, if we're at work and say, oh, I had a thought. And then your thought becomes, a winning, a prize-winning initiative or something. You just had a thought, but it becomes suddenly worth a lot because it's one of your projects at work, and people praise you. And they would say, how did you do this? So, well, I just had a thought. I woke up one morning and I had a thought, isn't it? Some say, I had a dream. No, they had a dream. It's a thought that comes in the night. It's called a dream. So, do you see where we're getting? It's a lot of thoughts, and they're fascinating. Because if we understand where those thoughts come from, we shouldn't get too crazy about it, but sometimes it's good to know that this thought only came because of this. So it's not necessarily true. It's just that it came because of that. So let's say you heard somebody say something to you, and then 5 years later, another discussion happens, and you say, oh no, last time I'm told this, it wasn't true, so this time I don't believe. No, it's not because it happened 5 years ago that the way it's happening today will be the same thing. But because I'm making connection, the thought comes, I don't believe it. So it's tricky. So once we start to listen to the mind and we start to appreciate the number of thoughts we're creating, the number of thoughts that are created in my mind, the moment we start to say, well, let me try to put a little bit of order in it, and let me try to have a direct intervention. And that's where I would make a difference between what I would call an active mind or a passive mind. And the passive mind is the mind that it's a wild popcorn machine. It's just popping all the time. And then you come in the room and say, my goodness, there's so much popcorn here. Is anybody controlling this popcorn machine? And there's absolutely nobody controlling anything, and it's just popping and popping and popping, and there's butter everywhere and smoke everywhere. And then people say, oh, you look preoccupied. Do I? Yeah, it's popping. I have popcorn machine in my head, And some have a look of blown up popcorn. You look at the head, and they actually look like a popped corn. Because they're thinking thoughts that they don't want to think. And that's what I was asking you earlier. Would you like some time to stop the mind from thinking? Yeah, because sometimes we don't like all these thoughts. And we don't know where to push the button to stop it, to slow it down, to change it. And it's like facing that popcorn machine that pops all the time and say, can you stop that popcorn? I'm sick of popcorn. And your mind, boop, boop, continues. Doesn't hear anything, it doesn't change. That's a little problem. So that's the passive mind. It just allows thoughts to be expressed. Doesn't matter where they come from, how they come from. I see something, I think, pick up something, I think, I have a feeling, I think, my personality make me think, and I don't make any intervention. That's a passive mind. An active mind is one that is trying to regain a certain sense of control over what's happening. So the active mind is aware, it's conscious. And actually, we say active mind, but it's really that the mind joins with the intellect. And the intellect starts to tell the mind, okay, stop it. We're going to pay attention to what is happening here. And so the intellect has to direct the mind and pay attention to what's happening in the mind. If I were to ask you, for example, right now, to create a thought of dislike for someone, I know it's negative, right? Imagine somebody you don't like very much, and you just create a thought, I don't like when he does this or she does that. Can you do that? You do it anyway, so just do it once more. just for fun, for the exercise. You see, if you try, it's very easy. Just remember a person you don't like very much, and let the mind say, I don't like when she does that or when he does that. Is it easy? It's just that it only happens in your mind right now because I'm asking you to do it. Right? Now, if I'm asking you, think of somebody you love, someone that you love very much, and create the thought why you love that person. What do you love about her or him? Just create a thought. I love you or her or him because that. You can create that, right? It's just a thought. But you can see it takes a little bit effort to articulate it, isn't it? Minimum. So sometimes this thought will come naturally. The person comes up at your place, oh, hi, happy to see you. And deep within, you look at the person and almost unconsciously you have the thought, I like so much the way you do this. I met somebody today, and I love to meet somebody new that I don't know. And sometimes I appreciate, the qualities in other people. And I was watching that person, young, just a friend of my sister's friend. No, a son of my sister's friend. So I just listen, and I see the freshness and the enthusiasm. Somebody who, comes to Canada for just the last few days, and new arrival, fresh arriving during the snowstorm. And really appreciate, and I start noticing, the expression and the sparkle and this, and really easy to appreciate the qualities in someone. And it's not that they were thoughts, but they're almost, at the same time I'm speaking to the person or listening, but underneath, those thoughts are there. I'm like, it's nice. Oh, he's so enthusiastic. Oh, he's so, positive, and you appreciate. So the thoughts will be there because the person is there. And if a person you don't like shows up, hi, how are you? I'm okay. And then underneath, how long is that going to be? I hope she's going soon. What can I say so I can leave right now? And then your mind goes into something else. But externally, yeah, nice, what did you do? Yeah, you went to a movie, it was good? Yeah, nice, how's your friend? I have to get out of here, Isn't it? It's just the mind. So next time, if somebody like this show up, and you catch your mind saying, oh, you're going there again, imagine you could stop your mind, and at that same time, okay, you don't like that person, but then your intellect tells you, mind, hey, behave. Create nice thoughts. Create nice thoughts for that person. Give good wishes for that person. And you can articulate a thought saying, I don't really like you, but I'm going to give you good wishes because I don't want you to be in my mind like this. So I hope you find a way to be a little bit more positive with people. And I wish you well. And I hope whatever, you create a good thought. In the beginning, it's a little bit hard. It's like, turning around a big ship who is going this way. And sorry, you have to go the other way. Might be a little bit difficult in the beginning. But if we practice, really, I tell you, that's what we do here. If you practice, it becomes easier and easier. And one day it's just natural. Every time the mind shows up with his little negative thought, it's just like, if you are to tame a lion, don't move. You just give a little move, and the mind becomes quiet. Honestly. And when the mind is enraged, and then he rebels, that happens sometimes. Well, that's more complicated. We'll talk about it next week. But the specificity of the mind is that it's changeable. We can really teach the mind to change the way it thinks. But that comes from the intellect. The mind doesn't teach itself. But the intellect makes the mind active. It tells the mind, hey, focus, pay attention, be positive, don't think negative. And I'll show you one level of thinking I was playing with today was, I was thinking, what makes the mind dance, for example? I was just thinking about for tonight, and I was thinking, for me, it's the ability to not allow things from outside ruin my own thinking. And a very specific example was about, now I'm bombarded with, I don't know, I must have at least, and I'm not exaggerating, at least 15, maybe 12, I don't know, requests that require an answer. And I'm sure most of them people would like to have an answer by tonight. And that one part of me says, this is too much. I don't want to. I want to watch tennis. I want to rest tonight. I didn't eat. Leave me alone. And I don't like it. And honestly, this is one part of me can be like that. Because it's too much. There's so many emails, this, and then now we have like all these different, mind has so many sources of thinking. But now we've make it even more complicated with messaging. Before it was very simple. People showed up at your door and say, hi, I want to talk to you. Oh, okay, good. Then they invented phone, letters. Okay, that is not too bad. Then emails, then WhatsApp, then Messenger, then text messages. No end to it. So it comes from everywhere. And you're bombarded with so many things. And so what do you think? Please answer. Please call me back. Please do this. Please fix appointment. And today I was really thinking, no, I don't do anything. I won't answer a single of these messages. Because I want to be cool, friend, nice. And if I let my mind into it, at this point, I'm not going to dance. I'm going to struggle. I'm going to be squeezed. I'm going to be choking. It's too much thoughts, too much to handle. And my thought was, I don't have to. It's okay not to answer any message. It's okay. Don't answer any message. And when I feel like, I will answer them all in 10 minutes. And I will realize I was just procrastinating. Because really I can do it maybe in, I don't know, maybe not 10 minutes, but half hour. But I'll wait for that half hour to come. And until that half hour come, let me enjoy a free mind that doesn't have any worry, any thought, oh, what do I do? Oh, what should I say? Oh, what do I answer? Because these are negative thoughts. So I was really playing with the beauty of allowing the mind to be free. And I said, okay, the free mind can dance. The mind in jail doesn't dance at all. He's just begging for, let me out, let me out. Stop email, stop this, Goes under the bed, unplugs the phone, lock the door, and put a big sign, I'm not here. I'm dead. Just go and ask someone else. Are you like this sometimes, or is it just me who, no? Sometimes you feel like, you don't feel like, and sometimes little thing, even maybe not 12 emails, maybe just one creates a little burden, a little worry or something. But I really enjoyed today that ability, without forcing. It was not. It's not that I was really suffering or stressed because of it. I just was realizing, one more, and then I said, That's fine. I'm not answering. And I enjoy saying, I'm not answering. And not having the thought, what will they think? Or will they complain, why you didn't answer? No, I'm allowed not to answer. That's my freedom in life. I can not answer. And then I was feeling so free. And I'm sure I'll see the half hour will pop up at some point. Hopefully not too late, but at some point. And if not today, maybe tomorrow. And it's fine. And sometimes it shows up so late, half the messages are already answered. Too late anyway. So by the time you answer, they say, oh, don't worry, Eric, we find a solution. You see? Didn't have to worry. So it's just a thinking, really. But when the mind becomes active, it's because the intellect forces the mind to think differently. And if we can learn to do that, to change what we think, you start to change the way you feel, you start to change the way you understand things, and you start to change the way you act, so your personality. If we stop worrying, your personality will become much more pleasant. Do you like people who are always worrying? You get stressed, everything is fine, you go into the house, so how are you doing? Oh, I'm so worried about this. After 10 minutes you feel stress, because they are worrying. And then they're worrying for nothing. And they make you worry, and they make you... that's not nice. But if you meet somebody who is always positive, so how is everything? Fine, perfect. Yeah, but you lost your cat. Oh, yeah, it's okay. Or you lost your car or something. Yes, yeah, it's okay. I'll get a new one. Positive, just move on. Do things positive. We like these people, and we tell them, "Oh, it's good. You make me feel better." If you see somebody who's always depressed, you leave the room and you feel depressed. But it's just thinking. It's just thinking. So, is that possible? So we have to practice. So how much time per day? Because before you come out, we have to make you sign. I'm going to pay attention to my thought for so many minutes per day. I'm trying to learn, improve my Spanish. I love Spanish. And so there's those little programs now, and they sell you very nicely, just 5 minutes per day, and you'll be perfectly, triangle, whatever in a little while. So I'm trying, and I've managed sometimes, and they're very good, those programs. They give you points every time you go through that for 5 minutes, and it's some themes, fruits and this and that. Yeah, I don't know. Duolingo, they call it. And there are many like this. And they're very well done, that little mascot. And then when you have right answers, there's a little doo-doo-doom, and then you win points and this. So at the end of the day, they say, oh, congratulations, you did your 5 minutes, you got so many points. Next day, you got an email, hi, do you have 5 minutes? And then you say, oh, not now. Then, okay, they're not too intrusive. Following day, get nothing. Following day, well, you didn't come. We're still waiting for your next 5 minutes. And then they have so many tricks. And then I left for my holiday, so I didn't do it for 2 weeks. And so at some point I see this little mascot coming with a tear. We miss you. It's been so long. You haven't come. And they got me by my feelings. So I said, okay, 5 minutes. Okay, I'll do it 5 minutes. And then I went into my lesson. And I really thank these programs, because they're coach. You don't want to learn, but they're pushing you to learn. And so you'll win a little bit more points and do better than last week, and keep progressing, and you'll do it. So I like this kind of programs. Are you a designer of programs? No, no, okay. And so meditation is the same thing. We have to find a little coach that will tell us every day, you have to do something. And then if we don't practice training the mind, it's not going to improve, period. And then we're going to say after a few months, I tried meditation, it doesn't work. No, that's not true. You didn't try meditation. You sat physically, and it didn't work. But what didn't work is that you didn't go for that effort to make the mind active, and to tell the mind, this is what we're going to do. So when we meditate, and we take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and we tell the mind, okay, for 10 minutes, you will think only about that. This is what we do in meditation. That's basic meditation. More advanced meditation is a bit different. But basically in the beginning, that's what we do. And teaching the mind to walk, it's exactly that, just 1 feet like this. So when you tell the mind for 10 minutes, just think about forgiveness. It's a beautiful theme. And you tell your mind for 10 minutes, forgiveness. Just that word, I'm going to use it for 10 minutes. I forgive my cat, I forgive the weather, I forgive God, I forgive everyone. I'm so, and I'm play with it. 10 minutes. And then ask yourself after 10 minutes of directing the mind like this, how do you feel? And really, if you don't feel better, I don't believe it. I'm sure we feel much better. And if you don't believe it, okay, tell your mind, okay, we're going to do a meditation on hate for 10 minutes. If that's what it takes to show me the power of the mind, I started watching on YouTube the other day something stupid, and I don't know how it showed up, but it was a video about the most scariest driver or something like that. Searched me why I looked for it, and I started looking, and these are like recorded accidents that are not like from Hollywood. This is real cameras on cars. It's terrible. And I was telling myself, Eric, stop watching this. This is not good for your mind. It's not images you want to see. But then you're engaging, into, oh, wow, my goodness, this is terrible. Oh, my goodness. And then I had to really physically stop to say, don't watch this. This is not good. Because it's going to create thoughts. And you don't want to attract those kind of situations. But I was really aware of how slippery the mind is. You're fascinated, but then you have to force the mind, say, no, don't go there. Don't go there. It takes effort. Otherwise, minds will drive you and you'll have an accident. That's what will happen. So this is just a little intro to the topic. Next week, I'll take you into something much deeper in terms of the ways that we articulate thoughts within the mind and the level of thinking that we can reach in the mind. And then the third session will be something a bit different too. Does it make sense, or is it too basic, or does it help you a little bit? Do you have any questions?
It's always good to remind.
Yeah?
The positive thoughts and the negative thoughts comes from different sources, or is the same intellect and is the same?
Yeah. So a good question, where the positive thoughts and negative thoughts, so they come from different sources or the same source? Same source. So intellect can be positive, negative. Feelings can be positive, negative. Picking up thoughts from outside can be positive, negative. But a big factor is my personality. And the personality has dominant personality traits in a way, and non-dominant personality traits. For example, someone who is predominantly impatient, right? It's a habit. Doesn't have some people say, well, I don't have much patience. They might have just for very specific things, but for most things they don't have patience. So because of that personality trait will generate negative thoughts very quickly. So that's the source that becomes a little bit... intellect is always squeezed between rational, conscious, irrational, unconscious. So the intellect can be positive, negative, anytime. If you, for example, are negligent about certain things, and then suddenly you lose your wallet, that will wake you up, right? If you lose your wallet, you're stressed, you're worried. What happens afterwards? And let's imagine you lose your wallet, you search everywhere, finally after a few hours you find it. How do you feel? Oh my goodness, I found my wallet. Then what do you do after for the next 2 or 3 days at least? You're very focused on your wallet, isn't it? Every moment, where's my wallet? You don't want to lose it again. It only lasts for 2 or 3 days, isn't it? So what happened? Your intellect became really positive quickly, just by force. Personality doesn't change like that. Our personality is our personality. To change it, it's going to take time. It's going to and that's what we want to work on. But so those sources of positivity and negativity can be the same, but the predominance is usually my personality trait. Does it make sense? So personality trait can be, for example, some people are kind of a little bit obsessive about punctuality, like they don't want to be late. And they drive everyone crazy, okay, yeah, we have to go. No, yeah, we have time. No. They can be obsessively focused on being punctual. I don't know, maybe doctor was not there when they were taking birth and they feel that they shouldn't be late anymore. So I don't know. But their thoughts are driven by that personality, isn't it? On the contrary, those who are thinking that Indian time is a good time, and whenever it happens, their thoughts are very different. That's the personality that will really channel a massive amount of thoughts on that particular level. And they tend to be focused on the nature of the personality. Again, someone very generous has a lot of positive thoughts because of being generous. Someone who is a miser, most of the thoughts in connection with people is about taking from them, calculating, This is why their thoughts are like that, because of their personality. And eventually, feelings, intellect, circumstances, what they see, will change that order. Positive, negative, but temporary. Permanently, personality. That's a big thing. That's why I like that expression. Sometimes I say we're a victim of our personality. Because the personality drives you to think certain ways, to do certain things against your intellect. That sometimes maybe it's not a good idea. Yeah, okay, fine. So then you do it again. If you stop, I used to smoke a lot, and trying to stop smoking is so difficult. And you try, so okay, Monday I'm stopping. Monday is a good day to stop. And then Monday morning, no, but you can, that's okay, Wednesday is good too. Stupid, where does... And you can't stop because your intellect plays tricks, and your personality is there. It's a habit. It's a tendency. So it's very hard to change the quality of thoughts. But when we identify the source, that's much. At least we know where to focus on. Some people have a lot of fear. It's not rational, but they haven't identified where the fear comes from. And so all the negative thoughts just comes from that fear. So the feeling, it's a big, big feeling, but it's the personality trait that has become like that, victimized. So we're always scared that something will happen to us. People who are very courageous, they're not scared because they don't identify with the victim personality. Winning personality, losing personality. And the good news, we can change it. That's the good news. But once we identify it, we change it, and then thoughts change. It's quite fascinating, isn't it? Because how many thoughts, I keep forgetting the number of thoughts per day, but it's an astronomical number. I think it's 50,000 or something like that. It's a massive amount of thoughts per day. So if we can at least change 20% of them, make them very positive, no doubt, by changing even just 20% of our thoughts, imagine what will change in everything else. Your awareness, your consciousness, your habits, your feelings, your words, everything. Just even 20%. So, today my suggestion to you is to say, okay, how can I find time every day to just pay attention to my thoughts? And you might decide that the good way for you to do it is when you cook. Maybe some of you would say, well, I don't have time. I cannot add 10 minutes per day to just sit and meditate. Fine. Then you make it a commitment. Every time I take my shower, this is positive cleaning thoughts. Shower means my thoughts are clean. That's what you can... For me, shower is creativity. In my shower I always have great ideas. Fine. And do you have to eat? Do you eat every day? Yeah? This must happen, no? At least once a day. You might decide that when you eat, at least one out of the 3 meals, you eat it by yourself in silence. And it's not just eating, that time is meditation. There's no excuse why we wouldn't be able to do it. Whatever you have time in the day, you decide that, because when you cook, you really don't need a big PhD on cooking to say, you know, how many grams of tomatoes do I need for my spaghetti sauce? You have done it so many times. When you cook, your mind only needs about 10% of concentration on the cooking. 90% of your mind is free. So you can either waste it, or you can say, okay, this is the moment, I'm going to cook for 15-20 minutes. But that's the time you say, I'm going to pay attention to my thoughts. I'm going to exercise. And cooking is a good opportunity, because you can say, I'm going to slice my thoughts into perfect little slice of positivity. I'm going to grind my personality so it's very fine. I'm going to bake my mind so it smells good. You know, you can go crazy like this, creativity. Why not? It's meditation while it's cooking. If you walk, you'd say, okay, every time I walk, that's my meditation. Now, of course, if you're busy talking, working, you know, that's okay. That's you need. That's not the time to meditate. But other times we can find. So does it appear like a good deal?
Yes.
Try to make it your own style, you know, whatever it is. Maybe it's just when you pick up your clothes in the morning to dress up. You associate one thing with, this is when I pay attention to my mind. And the exercise we're going to do is to always give your mind one topic, one word sometimes, forgiveness. Okay, I'm going to dress up today. This is my dress of forgiveness. And during the day you'll remember, someone will say, oh, I like your shirt. And you'll smile, thinking, yeah, it's a shirt of forgiveness. Only you knows that. But it's funny, it's entertaining. Deal? Be careful, next week there might be exams and tests to see if you succeeded during the week. So let's close maybe with just a few minutes of reflection together again. And we can focus our mind on that very beautiful word of forgiveness. Imagine that this is the day when I explore the beauty of forgiveness. And I create the thought that forgiveness is actually setting my heart free. And forgiveness is the freedom of the heart. Because when I forgive, I allow my heart not to be in pain anymore. Not forgiving means holding on to the pain. And so regardless of what others have done to me, or regardless of what I have done to myself, I just use the word forgiveness, and I let the word do its own thing. I focus on forgiveness, and I allow forgiveness to heal. And it may take time, but I just plant the seed of forgiveness. And when I see the word forgiveness, when I think forgiveness, I visualize a form of light becoming brighter and brighter. And I say to myself that the more I forgive, the more I can feel my heart dancing, being free. And the more I forgive, the more I can feel that I'm moving forward. I'm not looking back anymore. Every day of my life is a very meaningful moment for me. And I want every day to be filled with that light. And I want my heart to be free. So I plant the seeds of forgiveness. And I move forward. Okay, so that was dance lesson number 1. Looking at the shape of the feet and the hands and say, how are we going to make that move now? So next week we'll learn specific dance. So enjoy your week, your weekend, night. Good night, sweet dreams, good thoughts. And I may ask you a question next week about how much did you practice? All right. Om Shanti.